So hi guys, welcome again. We have a saying in Iceland called Verður ykkur að góðu, which means I hope you had a nice lunch. And now we're going to proceed, but before we do that, I would like to use this opportunity to try and prove to you that I can really sing and dance and play guitar. And I'm gonna play you one of the other entrepreneurial songs I just invented for this day. Of course, Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 was a really good tribute to, well, everything from scaling to just how immensely great she is. But now I'm going to sing you a song which is both popular with entrepreneurs and of course people who are getting married. This is actually one of the most requested song in marriage. This is in Iceland for the last 10 years. And of course it has something to do with entrepreneurs as well. I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so sensitive, but I don't need you. I want to break free. God knows I want to break free. And I have fallen in love. I've fallen in love for the first time, and this time I know it's real. I fall in love. God knows I've fallen in love. It is strange, but it's true. Yeah, I can't get over the way you love me like you do, but I have to be sure when I walk out the door. Oh, how I want to be free, baby. Oh, how I want to be free. Oh, how I want to break free. Thank you. These microphones, they can be quite useful, as well as guitars. So have that in mind if you ever need an exit song from a company you don't like. I Want to Break Free is the appropriate one. But having said so, I'm not giving you any ideas. We are still on the topic scaling in Iceland, and Þorvarður Sveinsson is the next speaker, an executive director of strategy in Vodafone Iceland, and he's here to talk about scaling businesses with the Vodafone Platform. The floor is yours. Thank you. Give him a good hand.
Thanks everyone, and I'm very happy to be here on the 5th, I think, Startup Iceland conference. My name is Þorvarður Sveinsson. I work for Vodafone Iceland. Vodafone Iceland is a telco company, as the name prescribes. We operate in the Icelandic market and the Faroese market, and we are also a Vodafone Group partner. So we work in close cooperation with Vodafone Group on many different areas. And I'm here actually to talk about how an established industry like the telco industry can really support and work with the startup community for the benefit of both. I will be doing this by really looking at the telco industry in this abstract form, taking this over to maybe the kind of abstract form of a cloud business, which is what is really changing a lot of businesses in the world today. And then really seeing where the strengths in local knowledge of the market and global distribution channels come into play. So, kicking off with an abstract description of the telco business. A telco business is usually a business that started in many countries around 100 years ago. It often began its operations in the late 19th century, early 20th century, in Iceland in the early 20th century, with often monopolies, government entities operating in their local communities. And the purpose of those businesses was really to invest in the telecom industry, telecom infrastructure, copper wires and so forth, to provide a very simple service. And the service was usually started just as a telegram, just Morse codes and so forth, and then morphed into, throughout the 20th century, into providing voice services. So a telco in its essence and the abstract form, and is still one of the two key assets of a telco, is the technical infrastructure. And even if the business was always quite human intensive and quite a lot of people always worked there, they often were just part of the systems and the technology. There might even be human switch panels, as you see there on the pictures on the right. So this is the story of the telco for the first 80 years, but then something happens. And something happens in the late 20th century. Market forces come into play. And suddenly it's not just a nice and simple monopoly position anymore. Now we're starting to actually see the market opening up to competition. And when a competition is opened up to a product that's quite standardized and simple, such as providing a voice service, then the challenger in the market needs to find a new way of selling this product. And what we are then starting to actually see over the past, let's say, 20, 30 years, is the rise of the telco as a really excellent service provider. So we are seeing the telcos coming in and building really excellent service facilities, call centers, people who really know the market and know how to sell the simple product that prior had just been really a standardized product and just rolled out to the market. So now suddenly we have two pillars of the business. We have the technical pillar, which is of course quite an important pillar, but we have the servicing pillar as well. The servicing pillar that we can then leverage on going forward. So now we have started to actually see the kind of telco in a kind of a slightly more abstract form. And now we can kind of look a little bit further into the telco product. And the telco product, as I said before, is a simple product and is really built around scale. A telco product is built around the scale of the two asset cores, the technical infrastructures and the service assets. And if you take an example of a very simple telco product, let's call it a mobile service, what we're really doing when we're selling a mobile service is we are selling access to our infrastructure, both the technical one and the service one. And we are doing this and selling it at a relatively low monthly fee, and we are selling it in standardized packages. It used to be standardized and then sold based on usage, minutes, SMSs, megabytes, and so forth. But as we have prolonged and the market has evolved, it has even become more and more standardized. So we are really just almost selling access to the infrastructure for a low monthly fee, and then very diversified and flexible billing. So now we have kind of got into the core and the abstract form of a telecom service, and we can now understand how we can scale from that and how we can build on that and leverage it to support other businesses. On that note, I would just like to move over then to the IT business as an example of a business that has been changing quite drastically over the past few years due to a technical revolution, which is the cloud. Now, if I put myself in my shoes 20 years ago, where I worked in an IT company, or in a bank actually, in an IT department there, and we were buyers of IT, and what did we do? Well, first of all, we bought our own hardware, we bought our own systems to run our enterprise services and so forth. Then we had to buy licenses valid for 3 years and so forth. We had to spend massive money to customize it, integrate it, and so forth. And finally, when we had gone through that whole painful process, we had to run and keep up to the processing power. Because when I worked in a bank, this is in around year 2000, where internet banking had really just started to explode, our customers were really coming in at the one day of the month when they wanted to do internet banking. So what we had to do, we had to stack up enough processing power to really handle the processing for that one day. And the remainder 29th day of the month, we didn't have anything to do with the machines, and we were literally running in at the end of the month to have enough processing power to provide our customers with the service. This seems like the dinosaur age today, of course, as we all know. Today, businesses building IT do it in a completely different way. They build infrastructure as a service. They buy the processing power when they need it and how they need it. They buy the memory when they need it and so forth. If they need to do any software customization, they try to do it through platforms and scale to learn from other providers all around the world. And then for the software providers selling it, it's then easy for them then to move into selling it per seat level, per license level, and so forth. So if you start to then see the IT business in the abstract form, we can kind of started to actually see quite a number of similarities in the business concept between an IT and a telco. Both are really based on fixed cost infrastructure. They're standardized and mass market focused, and they're really sold as a service for I would say hopefully a low monthly payment. So now we can actually see how the simple cloud products can fit to the basic business criteria of a telco product. And now we can see how we can then scale from the telco infrastructure into different kinds of businesses subject to certain scales and certain criteria. Now, having discussed this, I'm going to move a little bit over to the importance of knowing your local market. As I told you before, we operate in 2 markets, and we are really selling, in essence, the same core product in both markets. Let's talk again about the mobile service. You're selling access to our mobile network. But when we are selling it, we really have to take into account the different flavors and flexibilities and different market powers in those different markets. So, for example, when we are selling our telco service in the Icelandic market, we really need to take into account what Síminn is doing, Nova, 365, where the price points are, how the market is reacting to them, is the market requesting bundling and so forth. So in the Icelandic market, we have had to construct our product on the abstract form or the abstract concept of a mobile service in a certain way in order to sell it. So we really need to know the market. In the Faroese market, even though we are selling a simple mobile subscription, we need to behave in a completely different way. We need to understand that for the Faroese people, roaming is very important. We need to understand exactly how our competitor there is handling roaming and so forth. So even if we are selling a standard product, the local knowledge of the market is a key factor in the success. And then moving on to the global scale. As I said before, we are partnered with Vodafone Global, and we work with them on many different areas. One interesting area that we work quite closely with them is basically to know the other 84 markets that Vodafone is operating in. So they are always trying out new products, new services in each of those markets. And if they find a product that is fitting to that market, we know about it, or we can at least hear about it. We can understand what was successful and what was not. And then we can integrate it into our service platform as well and try it out in our local market in Iceland. And this has turned out to be quite an important factor for us and one of the reasons why we appreciate our partnership. But then there's a flip side to it that I believe this crowd here would be interested in, is that when we try out products in our local markets, and we have done this on several occasions, both actually in the Icelandic and the Faroese market, where we have worked with partners in our local markets to develop services fitting to that market, then the Vodafone Group is interested in our success stories as well. So if we are able to construct a successful bundling product, let's say, with a startup or with a third party that is fitting to the local market, we have shown it to be a success in the Icelandic market, then we can introduce them to the global community, and then they can see if that's a pitch that would be fitting to other markets. And as I said before, we have tried and tested this before, and we have 2 cases out there already. So this is I believe, an interesting factor as well for this audience here today. So taking it all together, we are always looking for new products. But we are looking for products that fit certain criteria. They need to be scalable product and fit for mass market that is similar in the abstract form as a telco product. They need to be able to be sold as a service for a monthly fee. They need to be easily serviceable with a limited customization required. They need to fit into the current business infrastructure that we have in place, and where we can really use our knowledge of the local market to package the product and sell it. And last but not least, if it has growth potentials internationally, that's of course great. So we are therefore always interested in working with partners that have products that fit these basic criteria. And I believe that this is a very natural partnership where both parties can really use their core assets and gain from a natural vendor relationship with each other. Now, what we decided therefore do, and we are doing this year, is to put this to the test, if you like. We have over the years, as many established companies, worked with startups and supported them in many ways, and we will continue to do that. But it has often been in a quite an unstructured and opportunistic way. Having gone through the work of structuring how we want to approach the startup community, we can now take it in a more formal way. And the idea is really quite simple. As I said before, we are always looking for new products to sell that are fitting our basic criteria. Therefore, we are looking for ideas that we can then support the owners of to develop further and into a fully flexed product. Therefore, in close cooperation with Startup Iceland, we decided to put this structure to the startup community and launched the business competition Stökkpallurinn, or in English, Launchpad, that we have been running now for close to 2 months. And the Launchpad was launched at the end of March with a launch party with application deadline now on May 10th. And we decided that if there were promising enough applications, we would basically take the ideas and work with the founders to develop their products further, to see if we can really take them into products that are fitting our basic criteria. We will be doing this through a series of workshops to support them in PR, marketing, investor relationships, product development, and so forth. And finally, if the idea can be morphed into a product, we will be happy to sign distribution contract with them on an equality basis. But this is a competition, so of course there are prizes, and we have a cash award without any equity stake, and we offer, I think, a gracious telecom services support for 1 year. And the winners will be announced at the closing of Startup Iceland today. Quite exciting. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and you understand a little bit where an established player can come into play and support the local community in developing new ideas and businesses. Thank you.